Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I do want to take an exception, because I typically do not review the featured 5-star hero crystals or kind of like make videos about the contents too much, but in this case I did wanted to make an exception, and I am making an exception in that because I personally believe that we are currently seeing the best featured 5-star hero pool pretty much since this format of these featured hero crystals came out. And overall, for first time ever, I would say to progressing level players that probably is better to target and open featured 5-star hero crystals from this point onward till this crystal in particular finishes, so for next 97 days basically, because especially so if you are somebody who has the Summoner's Sigil and you can buy the 11,000 unit crystal. But even for 15,000 units, I think when you go through this hero list, which we're going to go in a second, you will realize that you have incredibly good odds to pull actually usable and relevant champion. So let's go first and foremost. Black Widow Deadly Origin. So she's one of the new featured champions. So she's definitely not a game ranking meta champion, but she is still relatively current. She's new. She has some current abilities. She can inflict shock, and she would definitely be far from like unusable champion. She's no Rhino, for example. Speaking of rhinos, I did a massive opening just couple hours ago. I will leave a link somewhere up there where I opened 10 of these featured 5-star hero crystals and a 6-star hero crystal. So you are more than welcome to go and check it out as well. But so let's go through the list of champions. We have Black Widow Deadly Origin, who's definitely not the greatest champion, but still a very solid, kind of like decent champion. Captain America Infinity War, one of the best science champions, the answer pretty much for the champion boss final 10%, and just overall one of the most solid champions in the game when it comes to Act 6, when it comes to Alliance Quest, when it comes to Alliance War. This guy is useful pretty much everywhere. He's also really great for Variant 1, he's really great for Variant 2. There are some use for him in other variants, and yeah, he's definitely so in demand with a reason, and the fact that he's there definitely makes this crystal a lot better. Now we do have Cyclops Blue Team, which is like pretty much the only champion alongside Yondu who has no meta relevance whatever. So there are two duds. Let's just call them what they are. Dr. Octopus, again, he is maybe not the most amazing champion, however, he is the king when it comes to dealing with improved power gain effects, and we can see them in Act 6, we can see them in variants 2, 3, and 4 as well, I believe, and he's overall a very, very solid champion with a really solid power control, so he is somebody that even a progressing player should be happy to pull as somebody who actually could get used down the line in the future. Dr. Voodoo, still, again, he's not the most dominant mystic champion, but he is still very relevant, very useful. He's a potential option for a champion fight. He has that massive access to poison, that were acid wash becoming more useful. Becoming more frequent. He's useful for acid wash, not to mention his sustainability for a lot of AQ stuff. And I think Dr. Voodoo is kind of making his resurgence because we're seeing lately less poison immune champions and more other immunities like Incinerate, Shock, and Cold Snap. So Dr. Voodoo can have a free reign on them. So I think Dr. Voodoo is again a champion that would help a progressing player. Emma Frost, with all of her immunities, synergy with Colossus, very, very useful in Act 6, in 6.4 in particular as well. She's a very good, also like sought after champion and would help a progressing player. Now Gwenpool, in my opinion, has not aged too well, but is still definitely also a useful champion, especially if she's awakened. She can tank the level 3, she has ability accuracy reduction. Not, again, the top of the meta, but still a current useful champion that can help you a lot in Act 5. And for progressing players, that is also important. Heimdall. Heimdall, again, is one of the kind of like synergy kings in the game. So many people are stuck on 6.2 Sinister because they don't have Heimdall, and here he is, a very solid chance to pull Heimdall. Trust me, I know by experience now. Hulk Ragnarok, again, champion that deals with Starburst better than anybody else does in game. Very useful for variant 1 and very useful for variant 2. And also I think that Electro Boss in variant 4. And all in all, quite solid champion. Definitely not my favorite, but you cannot deny the usefulness of Face Me in general. Hyperion, in my opinion, best cosmic champion if you're not running Suicide Masteries. He's extremely versatile, a champion that has aged like fine wine and is useful again in AQ, in AW, in Act 6, incursions. Absolutely fantastic. Pretty much everywhere where this guy goes, he can put in a lot of solid work. I listed him as one of the best kind of like 15 champions for Act 6, and that improved power gain and just pretty much everything about him just seems to always work out, and he does great. Now how Iceman, again, I'm not the biggest Iceman fan by far, but still the triple immunity, poison, incinerate, and bleed immunity, ability to eat level 3s, some counters to weight, again an actual currently useful meta champion. Korg, okay, let's add Korg to the dud list, so that's 3 duds there. We have Yondu, we have Cyclops, and we have Korg. Medusa, still the best champion when it comes to shutting down robots, very useful for 6.1, super useful in a lot of different pieces of content, and specifically for these targeted robot matchups. Red Guardian, one of the new champions added, arguably, not arguably, in my personal opinion, the best champion of 2020, very useful guy to have. And Sorcerer Supreme, again, one of the kind of like best champions added in my opinion, second best champion added this year, and a very, very good solid mystic character, champion counter, solid nullify, solid region and block, access to slow, access to armor breaks. Very good champion overall, should be a great addition to pretty much anybody's roster. I have maxed out mine, Red Guardian and my Sorcerer Supreme, to kind of like also show that I personally have a lot of faith in these two champions, and I do not regret these decisions at all. Star-Lord, yes, arguably outdated, but still can be used here and there, especially for like tech variant or some other stuff, so definitely not too bad. Storm Pyramid X, a new addition to the contest. Again, doesn't really scream the top meta champion, however she definitely has some solid damage output, some decent utilities, some immunities, and so on and so forth, so still a usable champion. Terax is one of the new featured champions, unfortunately a dud. If anything, I would place him as a 4th dud of the crystal, and yeah, he just sucks. There's nothing really good I can tell about. I don't know, defense rank maybe, okay, go, in that case Korg as well. So anyways, Hood is Ghost synergy piece. Many people are struggling to get him, especially people who are kind of trying to get into Act 6 and maybe don't have a 5-star Hood for synergies for Ghost in Act 6, because Ghost is obviously so dominant, and many people are looking for the Hood. Now Tigra, not the greatest mystic, but quite fun, and still has some mystic abilities and some useful stuff like unblockable specials, basically stagger like ability to phase projectile special attack, so that's still useful. Ultron, not the greatest, but it's a robot. At least he has some decent synergies with Warlock or Guillotine. I forgot, with Warlock, yes. Not the best champion by any means, but can be used here and or there. Could list as a 3rd dad, I guess. Wasp, again, Ghost synergy, perfect. So here you can form a full Ghost team. Very useful champion in her own right. I have made several reviews about her. Absolutely love Wasp in general. I enjoy using her. If anything, I'm most often I use Ghost without Wasp synergy, and when I use Wasp for her own actual abilities, for that passive stun, for that heavy spam, for everything else she does guaranteed crits. Now Winter Soldier, again, not the greatest, not the biggest amount of utilities, but has that saving grace synergy with Killmonger, which effectively transforms him into an alternate version of Star-Lord, which might not have as big of a damage potential, but has a more frequently accessible power drain and some other stuff. And Yondu. So all in all, if the champion crystal, this featured crystal, has 24 champions, I think overall there are only 2 champions that are really bad, kind of like very unusable, that nobody would be happy with. Then there are another kind of like 3 champions or 4 champions that are mediocre at best, but that still would leave you with 18 good to god to great champions, which are really useful for most of the accounts, and especially if you do not have like majority of them, then again I encourage every new and progressing player for this period, for this specific 3 months period where this featured 5-star hero crystal pool is available, to go for these crystals, because your chances of pulling something good, useful, great, usable are extremely high. The amount of duds is extremely limited. There's just the blue Cyclops, there's just the Yondu. And like, okay, you can count out Winter Soldier, you can count out Ultron, Terrax, and Korg because they don't have too much offensive prowess, but it still leaves you with 18, that's 3/4, 75% of the champions are quite up there on the top half of the kind of like tier list of everybody. So I think in this case it well warrants the added 5,000 shard cost, and especially if you can use the sigil and buy it once a week or whenever it resets for 11k, even better. But even if you are gonna buy it for full price, I think it's well worth it. Should do it. There is a very, very good chance to pull a lot of good, useful champions. I am likely to have my personal mini account go for these 11k featured 5-star hero crystals, just because, yeah, there are so many good champions I could use. There are so many champions I'd love, and so many champions that would be helpful for me to progress and kind of be able to start exploring variants 2, variant 3, finish exploring variant 4, so on and so forth. So yeah, for my personal mini account, which is practically free to play but just has the sigil, I would, yeah, still go for these ones, because it is exceptionally good crystal pool. The only downside to this crystal pool realistically is the fact that there are no new exclusive champions. Everybody was kind of silently hoping for that Scarlet Witch edition or that Wolverine edition here, or something else that's new and exclusive and hasn't been as a 5-star. But no, but still, overall, I think it's a fantastic group of champions. I think in this case, again, people who typically don't go for featured 5-star hero crystals should, because there are a lot of good pulls in here, and vast majority of the champions have actual significant uses in today's metagame, either as synergy partners, either for specific fights, or for generic kind of like niche encounters, or overall just great champions like Captain America Infinity War, or Supreme Red Guardian, Medusa, Hyperion, Iceman, Emma Frost, Dr. Voodoo, so on and so forth. There are so many great champions. And that will more or less do for today's video, because I did want to make this video separately. And again, the simple fact that I pretty much never review featured 5-star hero crystals or what's in them, or even 6-star crystals, should hopefully get the message across even better, that I personally think this is fantastic pool of heroes, likely the best one we have seen yet. And that the fact that there are hardly any duds, it's very unlikely. Obviously there will be people who pull Cyclops and Yondu and stuff like that, but vast majority of people who will go for this crystal will get something useful and will help their account to progress. And yeah, so that is it for today's video. Hope you guys take my advice to heart. I hope it works out for you for the best. I hope you get something useful. But if you have made it thus far in today's video, you guys know what that means. That means it's Baby Yoda time. Less of me, more of this adorable green little creature who is force sensitive. And you know what would make the force sensitive child even happier? If you hit that like button, if you hit that sub button, if you share this video with your alliance mates in case they are unsure what to do, or in case they typically do not open featured 5-star hero crystals. And yeah, just spread the video, spread the message, spread the word. Hopefully it works out for the best for everyone. And if you disagree, leave a comment. If you agree, drop a comment regardless. More comments, the better. It all adds up. It all helps me a lot. And I am always super grateful to every single one of you for watching my videos and interacting with them. That being said, it is me done for today, and I will catch you guys soon. See ya.